the Indiana Fever just dropped a bombshell. 4 key players are gone, and the entire fan base is left reeling. Not traded, not retired, not lost to injury, just gone. Poof, vanished. And now, the question everyone's asking is the same. What were they thinking? The reality is harsh. When you lose core players, you don't just lose points or minutes, you lose stability, chemistry, leadership, and experience. And in this case, the stakes couldn't be higher. Caitlin Clark, the face of the franchise, the player who has single-handedly turned arenas into sold-out cathedrals of hope, is watching this unfold. And she's not just a player. She's a movement, a phenomenon. Protecting her isn't optional. It's survival. So, who are the 4 players that the Fever just let walk out the door? Sydney Coulson, Odyssey Sims, Brienne January, and Bry Hall. Veterans, leaders, reliable forces who carried this team through a brutal season riddled with injuries, fatigue, and chaos. These aren't benchwarmers or placeholders. These are the players that held the ship steady when the storm hit. And now, the ship is listing. Let's pause for a moment and let that sink in. The Fever, a team that has finally tasted competitiveness, finally found a glimmer of consistency, just tore apart the core that made last season possible. And the timing? Perfectly terrible. This isn't just an off-season maneuver, it's an upheaval. A reset, sure, but not one that inspires confidence. Here's the kicker. These players aren't retiring. They aren't leaving the sport. They're heading to Athletes Unlimited Pro Basketball, a 5-on-5 league that rotates teams weekly based in Nashville that allows players to compete, earn points, and get paid during the WNBA offseason. On paper, it's a chance to stay active, earn some extra cash, and showcase skills. But on the other hand, it's a loud reminder that they are unrestricted free agents. And when February hits, they can sign anywhere, anywhere. Fever fans are panicking, and they have every reason to. This isn't just about roster spots. This is about loyalty, identity, and the very essence of building a team around a superstar. Because let's be honest, Clark isn't just a player. She's the franchise. She's the reason fans are back, tickets are sold out, and hope exists in Indiana Fever Nation again. Surrounding her with a patchwork roster isn't just risky, it's dangerous. Think back to last season. The Fever, without Clark for the final stretch, defied expectations. They clawed their way into the semifinals, forcing a grueling 5-game series against the powerhouse Las Vegas Aces. It shocked everyone, because no one expected this scrappy, injury-ridden squad to survive. But they did, and a big part of that success came from Sims in January, stepping up when the team needed it most. And now, those same players might not be there next season. Meanwhile, Kelsey Mitchell, the team's most consistent scorer, can't even be considered safe. Averaging over 20 points per game last season, shooting nearly 40% from 3, she formed a lethal backcourt with Clark. Deadly. And yet, trade rumors swirl around her like dark clouds, with teams like the Dallas Wings reportedly circling. If she leaves, Indiana loses not only scoring, but the dynamic synergy that made their offense so effective. Here's where it starts to get truly frightening. Clark isn't just a star, she's the center of everything. Aliyah Boston anchors the paint, but basketball isn't tennis. You can't win with 2 people. Chemistry, depth, experience. These are not optional ingredients. And Indiana has just thrown 4 of the most critical components into the wind. And let's not sugarcoat it. Stephanie White's system, brilliant on paper, isn't designed for chaos. It works when her roster is intact, but losing these players could unravel everything she's built. Without depth and reliable rotation players, even Clark and Boston might struggle to carry the team to another playoff run. Meanwhile, other teams are stacking rosters, locking up talent, and solidifying chemistry. Indiana? They're playing musical chairs with contracts and risking another season slipping through their fingers. Fans are rightfully furious. Social media erupted the moment news broke. Hashtags about rebuilds, self-sabotage, and protecting Clark flooded timelines. Every statement, or lack thereof, from the front office has only fanned the flames. Because here's the reality. Money isn't the problem. Indiana has cap space, sponsorships, hot tickets. Yet, decisions reflect panic, not strategy. It's a small market mindset in a team with superstar firepower. This is not just about losing players. It's about losing momentum. Clark's presence alone transformed the WNBA landscape. Her jersey sales shattered records. Her highlights brought national attention. She revived a franchise that had been dormant for years. And now, with 4 veterans gone, the team risks undoing all of that before free agency even begins. So, what now? How does Indiana recover from a shakeup that could have long-lasting consequences? Step 1. Prioritize Clark. Protect her. Surround her with players who complement her strengths, who provide defense, shooting, and leadership. Step 2. Fill the void left by these departed veterans. Step 3. Rebuild trust with fans. Because if the Fever continue down a path of chaos and uncertainty, loyalty, both from players and fans, will erode fast. Because, let's be honest, talent alone doesn't win championships. Strategy, vision, depth, and cohesion do. And right now, the Fever have put all of that in jeopardy. The offseason has become a thriller nobody wanted to star in. And the next chapter? It's still unwritten. But if Indiana doesn't act fast, it may be a horror story of wasted prime years and squandered opportunity. The fallout from losing 4 veterans isn't theoretical. It's tangible. Picture the locker room. Empty seats where leadership once thrived. Whispers instead of commands. Uncertainty instead of strategy. Players like Odyssey Sims weren't just contributors on the scoreboard. They were mentors, motivators, voices that kept younger stars grounded. Without them, the balance tips dangerously. And let's not forget Brienne January, an unshakable presence who knew how to read the game, to anticipate plays, to steady the storm during tight stretches. Gone. Bree Hall, a defensive anchor, a disruptor, someone who made opponents hesitate before they even thought about scoring. All 4? Gone. Now the pressure falls squarely on Caitlin Clark and Aliyah Boston. But basketball is a team sport. You can't carry a team alone. Not in the WNBA. Not against elite competition. And yet, that's exactly what Clark and Boston may be asked to do next season, essentially navigating a minefield of inexperienced lineups, patchwork rotations, and the looming threat of injury. Every missed assignment, every defensive lapse, every breakdown in chemistry could snowball into a season-ending disaster. Fans feel it too. The instant the news dropped, Twitter exploded. Comments ranged from disbelief to outright rage. Are they serious? Protect Clark at all costs or lose her. This isn't a rebuild, it's sabotage, and that's just scratching the surface. For years, Fever fans have endured inconsistency, management missteps, and false promises. The feeling of déjà vu is palpable. They've been here before. And the fear that history might repeat itself? It's real, and it's raw. Off the court, the situation is just as precarious. The WNBA's CBA negotiations are still unresolved, meaning free agency is frozen. Indiana can't even make official moves to lock down replacements. They can't offer contracts. They can't extend deals. And technically, they can't even trade with certainty. The rest of the league, however, isn't waiting. Teams like the Dallas Wings, New York Liberty, and Las Vegas Aces are quietly maneuvering behind the scenes, ready to pounce the moment contracts open. For Indiana, this isn't just a misstep. It's a vulnerability. A glaring, dangerous vulnerability. And let's talk about Kelsey Mitchell again. The numbers speak for themselves. Over 20 points per game, nearly 40% from three-point range, and a dynamic partnership with Clark that made the backcourt a nightmare for opponents. But with trade rumors swirling, Indiana risks losing yet another crucial piece of the puzzle. If Mitchell leaves, suddenly Clark's support network becomes paper-thin. Depth is non-existent, leadership is in short supply, and experience vanished. Meanwhile, the coaching situation adds another layer of uncertainty. Stephanie White's system relies on consistency, chemistry, and a rotation that can execute at a high level. Without the core players she trusted, everything becomes a challenge. Her offense might have carried the team to the semifinals last season, but that success was built on trust, cohesion, and veteran savvy. Strip that away, and the system falters. Guards and forwards may be talented, but talent without coordination is chaos. And in a league where every team is stacked, chaos isn't a strategy, it's a death sentence. Then there's the marketing and fan perspective. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player, she's an economic engine. Her presence sold out arenas, boosted ratings, and transformed the Fever into a franchise that finally mattered again. And yet, the front office's decisions risk undermining all of that. Momentum doesn't last forever, especially when fans watch 4 of the team's most reliable players walk out the door. Momentum is fragile, and Indiana is gambling with it. The bigger picture is even more alarming. Loyalty doesn't exist in a vacuum. Players, especially elite stars like Clark, aren't just going to stick around because the jerseys sell or the arenas are packed. They want a team built to win. They want leadership, chemistry, and stability. If Indiana continues down this path, if they fail to act decisively to protect their star and rebuild their depth, they risk losing her in ways that aren't always publicized but are inevitable. History is filled with superstars who walked because their teams failed to provide a winning environment. This isn't just speculation, it's a lesson learned across every sport. And while all this chaos unfolds, the clock is ticking. Free agency is looming. The CBA negotiations may or may not resolve quickly. The team's roster, still frozen, remains exposed to opportunistic poaching from other franchises. Every day that passes without decisive action increases the odds that Indiana starts next season handicapped, reactive, and vulnerable. For fans, it's a nerve-wracking countdown, a feeling that everything they've celebrated in the Caitlin Clark era could unravel before it even reaches its peak. Even deeper, the loss of leadership creates a vacuum that no single player can fill. Clark is a superstar, Boston is dominant, but they can't organize the team, make front office decisions, or manage contract negotiations. That's not their job. That's the front office's responsibility. And so far, their silence has been deafening. No press statements, no clear plan, just the storm of uncertainty growing louder by the day. The irony is brutal. Indiana has resources, cap space, sponsorships, the hottest tickets in the league, but they act like a small-market team afraid to spend, terrified to commit. And while they play it cautious, other teams are moving forward aggressively, locking up talent and building depth. It's not just mismanagement, it's a competitive disadvantage that could define the next season, if not the next half-decade of the franchise. Fans are divided. Some believe this shakeup is a calculated strategy, a way to free space for better signings or a blockbuster trade. Others see it as a catastrophic misstep, a rebuild in all but name that will waste Clark's early prime years. The truth? It could be both. Indiana is navigating without clarity, without a defined path. They're at a crossroads, and every wrong move now will have lasting consequences. Caitlin Clark alone can't carry this franchise. She's a generational talent, a leader on the court, a figurehead for a revival that everyone wants to celebrate. But even the most gifted players have limits. Without support, without depth, without a plan, even Clark's brilliance can only do so much. And the reality for Indiana is this: they've thrown away a season of momentum, risked the loyalty of a superstar, and put the franchise back into uncertainty, all before free agency even begins. So what can the Fever actually do? Step 1. Stop improvising and start strategizing. This isn't about quick fixes or flashy headlines. It's about building a roster that protects Clark and Boston, maximizes talent, and stabilizes team chemistry. The clock is ticking, and every delay increases the risk that this offseason turns into a lost year. The most obvious path is aggressive free agency. Indiana has the cap space to sign experienced players who can immediately fill the leadership void. They need veterans with high basketball IQ, reliable shooters, and defensive toughness. It's not glamorous, it's not about headlines, but it's essential. Every day they wait is a missed opportunity for another team to snatch these players off the market, leaving the Fever scrambling. Then there's the draft. Indiana can target high-upside talent, but rookies aren't immediate fixes. They need mentoring, they need patience, and they need time to gel. In the meantime, Clark will be on the court night after night, facing the best defenses the league can throw at her with a thin supporting cast. This is a huge risk, but it can pay off if the front office moves decisively and balances youth with veteran presence. Another piece of the puzzle is stability in the rotation. Chemistry takes time to build, and losing 4 core players wipes out years of experience and on-court trust. Step 1 isn't just signing players, it's creating a clear rotation, defining roles, and ensuring every player knows where they fit in Clark's system. Without this clarity, even the most talented roster can implode under pressure. Fans are watching closely. They've invested hope, money, and emotion into the Caitlin Clark era. Every headline about free agents leaving, every rumor about trades, every silence from the front office chips away at trust. Indiana needs transparency. They need a clear vision. They need to show that this isn't panic. It's a calculated, intentional plan to build a contender. Anything less will feel like chaos, and fans won't stick around for another season of uncertainty. Let's not sugarcoat it. The risk is immense. If Clark gets frustrated, if Boston feels unsupported, if Mitchell, or any remaining star, considers leaving, the Fever could collapse faster than anyone expects. Other teams aren't waiting. They're building continuity, signing complementary players, and creating systems where stars thrive. Indiana, by contrast, is gambling that their marquee talent will perform miracles amid instability. That's not strategy, it's hope, and hope alone doesn't win championships. Now imagine the scenario. Free agency opens, and the Fever scramble to sign players. They bring in a couple of veterans, but the roster is still patchwork. Injuries hit, as they inevitably do. Clark and Boston fight every night, but without reliable depth, the team falters in close games. Fans grow frustrated. Attendance and enthusiasm dip. The social media backlash escalates. And suddenly, the Caitlin Clark era, which had been a beacon of excitement, begins to look fragile, vulnerable, and fleeting. There's also the optics of leadership. Fans and media alike are watching how the front office responds. Every statement, or lack thereof, sends a message. Silence is deafening. And right now, Indiana is silent. That vacuum amplifies uncertainty, fuels rumors, and gives competitors an advantage. Transparency, decisive action, and a visible commitment to protecting Clark are essential. Anything less invites speculation, undermines confidence, and risks losing the trust of both players and supporters. The good news? Solutions exist. The Fever can rebuild smartly, protect Clark, and turn this shakeup into a chance to realign the roster. By adding veterans, filling gaps in shooting, defense, and leadership, and blending experience with youth, they can create a team that's competitive and cohesive. Timing is critical. Hesitation risks momentum, player departures, and fan frustration. Talent alone isn't enough. Clark and Boston need a solid supporting cast and stability. The challenge isn't just replacing lost players, it's rebuilding confidence, chemistry, and signaling that Indiana is serious about contending. Fans are invested in more than wins. They care about momentum, hope, and narrative. With 4 veterans gone, the story hangs by a thread. Every move now defines whether this is the start of a new era or another lost season. The Fever must act decisively, protect their stars, stabilize the locker room, and communicate clearly. Clark is the heartbeat. Boston anchors the paint. But basketball isn't a two-person game. Depth, rotation, and leadership matter. And by losing key players, Indiana risks everything. Now, consider the ripple effect. Kelsey Mitchell, arguably the team's most lethal scoring threat besides Clark, may be on the trade block. Injuries are inevitable. Rookies and new signings will need time to adjust. Chemistry will need to be rebuilt from scratch. This is a recipe for instability, uncertainty, and a season where the Fever may struggle just to stay competitive. And all of it is happening while other teams quietly strengthen their foundations, building rosters designed to win consistently. Not just hope for flashes of brilliance. Fever fans have invested in the Caitlin Clark era, hoping for a competitive, consistent team. But right now, optimism is tinged with anxiety. Social media erupts with frustration. Headlines scream, "Rebuild?" and the front office stays silent. In sports, perception is reality, and the Fever look like they're improvising in chaos. Yet there is a path forward. With cap space, sponsorships, and stars like Clark and Boston, Indiana can stabilize the roster, add leadership, and rebuild chemistry. Smart signings, clear roles for rookies, and solid rotations could turn this offseason into an opportunity rather than a disaster. Fail, and momentum fades, trust erodes, and Clark's prime years could be wasted. Other teams won't wait. They'll capitalize while the Fever scramble. The question is simple. Will Indiana rise to the challenge, or let indecision define them? Time is running out. Every day matters. The Caitlin Clark era is here, but its fate is unwritten. Will Indiana seize the moment, or watch it slip away?